Well, hello and welcome to another one of my thoughts videos. I've been a long time no see. I'm back in Colombia again after shifting countries from New Zealand back to Colombia. It's taken a lot of effort to shift and get unpacked and get plugged back in here, so it's been a little difficult to sit down and get my thoughts together. But what motivated me now is that I got a strike on YouTube for an innocent video where a thief type company, a rogue company in Europe, claimed public domain music that I used and wouldn't listen to my my counterclaim, my explanation as to where I got the music from, and so I've had to take it down. That really angered me, and I thought, well, that's the way YouTube's going. Eventually YouTube will disappear, so I have a window of opportunity to share my thoughts with a small number of people like yourself, and so here I am again. Now, I looked at the last videos I did in New Zealand on the unicorns and unicornisomes and stuff, and although there's some very correct and good information there if you can decipher it, I went back and looked and thought, now if I was a General Joe Blogs, I'd get a little bit confused with the interchanging of the terminology, but it was an attempt at trying to not use the words that are banned for words that are acceptable but have the same sort of concept and meaning behind them. That's why they're the fake unicorns compared to horses, for example. There's real things and there's fake things, and the fake things they're using to perpetrate nefarious plans, all to make money, which is fictitious in the long run anyway, so it really sort of annoys me. So I thought I'd start this video here by doing a recap of the key times in history where we have gone astray, so that you can understand a little better where we are, so that you can face what's coming shortly. Starting maybe 2,500 years, Socrates and basically tried to get rid of anything spiritual out of medicine, and tried to find reasons which were purely material cause and effect. They invented the humours, which went for quite a number of millennial even, until about the 1650s and the Renaissance, when they managed to find cells, and the word cells, when they invented the microscope. The humours, the four humours that were basically liquids that if they mixed caused disease, well, that went out of fashion because they found cells and tissues and things with the invention of microscopes, which were little melted beads of glass that they could, on brass stands, that they could start to see things. By 1850, once they had found the cells, the humours came back again, and they thought that the humours were operating at a cellular level, and that went for a little while until about 1876, or by 1895 they discovered bacteria, and then they thought that, oh, these are the boogeymen that were causing all the disasters. But then people like Louis Pasteur found that there were diseases that did not have any bacteria associated with them. And so they were saying that bacteria were bad, but they were wrong, because we now know that we live with over 12,000 varieties of bacteria in and on us. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. Every cell that we have, there are 10 bacterial cells in and on our bodies, but we outnumber them by volume 10 to 1. They're a tenth of our body is bacteria, so we need bacteria. They are not bad, but they tried to blame all illness on bacteria until they found that they weren't. By 1876, that they'd found bacteria. In 1876, they couldn't find any bacteria in a disease for tobacco, and they had invented by 1892, the Chamberlain filter to filter out the bacteria and yellow fever, the term all in this area here, they found that bacteria weren't the boogeymen, humans weren't the boogeymen, and that maybe there was something smaller, and the filter managed to filter out the bacteria, and the filter meant that they could look for something smaller, and the term virus was coined, which meant any infectious agent. Oops, I hope I don't get deleted because I just said that. But anyway, the first one was yellow fever in 1881. Now fast forward to 1918, polio. They tried making vaccines, and we found that that was fake. And by because it didn't work, 1931, the electron microscope was made, and then they thought that they had found the particles visually. Now they'd gone wrong. They're always looking for particles, not recognizing that there are many reasons why someone might get sick, but they're always trying to find that cause and material cause and effect. And it has been disproved since then. The electron microscope samples or studies that were conducted back then have been repeated these days with controls. That means by doing the experiment without any supposed unicorns or anything in, and found that they got the same results, which means the results of what they were finding were totally bogus. By 1985, they then found an electromagnetic microscope, and they were able to see smaller things, and they could actually see these little particles. And this is where it started to branch into two, because those that believed in unicorns and fictitious particles continued with that narrative, but then other intelligent people figured that the things that they were looking at were too numerous, and found that they were part of our intercellular communication system, like a FedEx package system. And in 1997, they found a kind that was not infectious that they could then start looking at. By 2017, they had found some tests, and started manufacturing them. And then by the 2019, they were able to manufacture these particles and program them with genetic material, while the fictitious unicorn branch continued saying that they exist when they didn't. So then they said, let's make a big scandal about a thing that doesn't exist, and then inject everybody with this branch of programmed particles to alter genetic material. Now, the important part that you need to get used to is this whole branch, and all of that before has been erroneous thinking. The humans thinking bacteria are the boogeymen, then inventing the term there, which is wrong. They don't exist, and then making a whole bunch of money off fictitious things, wrong identification of the particle they were looking for, then a correction in finding the particle they were looking for was something else, part of our communication system, and then making something out of it, while perpetuating down this branch the fiction that these particles actually exist. Now, because of that, they're now jabbing
children with over 35 different poisons and things for things that don't even exist. These things do not exist. These things do. Those particles do, and they're trying to reprogram them with genetic instructions and using the fiction to push that narrative there. So you need to get used to the idea that this branch here do not exist, not even in concept. So the illnesses that are attributed to these are other causes that they just have not found what those causes are, and there are myriads of reasons for those diseases.
So I have said in videos past that modern medicine is a lot like the shamans. Now, I've worked with shamans and known, witch doctors and people like that. They have a certain amount of knowledge and are able to do certain curing and all sorts of things like that, but then it is just enough to convince the population around them that they are worth investing in, and then they lead the people astray. And some of the ones that I've talked to even admit that they used to make people sick so that they could then cure them to make money off them, or get rich as resources off them. And that is what the pharmaceutical and medical industry is, to keep people sick without curing them and making money off them as a result. So if you can get this concept of non-existent unicorns, and the reality of what they're actually doing is programming particles with genetic material, which in itself is also coming under suspicion as to what that actually means, because genetic material is not what determines us. It is only a tool that the body uses and is not determinant. And so they're messing with very dangerous stuff. And so if you can be aware that these particles that they're talking about don't exist, and there's always another reason for a sickness, then you're well on the way to being well and combating those things and avoiding the wars against humanity, as it were. So that's the roundup, and hopefully next videos I'll have something different to talk about, but that's the summary of it. So have a great day and keep using your brain.